New code is to be inserted into 5 new files. This 2D array declaration here. Then in the constructor, this subroutine for debugging. And this should be self-explanatory. Down here I have one for each of the houses except for the school. This puts the sequence into a string, and then I have the subroutine here that based on the number of digits that the IDs have, and for the Iron Mine, for example, the IDs had 2 digits, but then they had some that had 4. Like for the swine farm, that it is a mixture of 3 and 4, we choose 4. We pass that here as the third argument, which is num length. And I have something called 0 ID. When you pass an ID as 0, as you know, it shows no animation. It looks like the house is vacant, and that's a pause to mimic the original game. So I have zeros before and after. Before many of these sequences, there are sequences of zeros. So the 0 IDs for this would be 4 zeros and then a vertical bar. And I would have 2 at the beginning of the sequence. So I would have this, but 2 of them before, for example. But even if I use the repeat string subroutine that I included here, that would cause unnecessary clutter, especially that I'm going to be calling this to split the string into an array and array of word. And to easily split a string, it's good if they have a fixed size. If the delimiter is a fixed number of spaces, and I have these here for debugging, just to see the full sequence. Obviously, you just have to change this file path to wherever text file you want it to go in. In unit work plan, it's very simple. Just remove all of these and replace it with this for every single house. It's the exact same line of code for all of them. Because in here, I redefine HA work 1 and just make it have a length of 1 so that the amount of time that the building runs is equal to the length of the subarray of the house type, which is in housework IDs. Because again, this is a 2D array of house type of word. Then in render pool, in this procedure, just have this if then and else site inserted here. Basically the HA work 1 action type is the only one we're using now. And when I define them here, I didn't just put 0, 0. I went and, as you can see in the debug here, I have the XY offsets for the animation frames to go. But I ran each of those and observed what these numbers were when I hard-coded a new HA work 1 for each house to have a length of 1, just for the purpose of the timing like this. And that's all it took. So in render pool, if the action type is HA work 1 and the house is supported in here in this new system, which it will be because the other remaining houses like the woodcutters and farmer, they don't have an HA work 1 folder in the export. When you go F11 export, so I assume that HA work 1 only applies to these buildings, but this is a failsafe. Otherwise, just do the original code that was here for every other possibility. In houses, remove all of the old code and put this instead. I have C's Workshop in here. You can remove it if you want. It's just that the C's Workshop was a very complicated building. I think the most complicated one was the Weapons Workshop. It was a mess. And another honorable mention is the Metallurgist. But I have some comments here to explain this code. And for the schoolhouse, which I mentioned here that the sound is taken care of here. Basically, I didn't change anything with this code except for I made the last 3 29s into a 30 because when I went frame by frame, that's ultimately what it came down to, and this is how the school animations were dictated. And then for phase 5, I just put the school ding sound. A last comment is that this frame here in the tannery, for example, this happened in a few other buildings. It didn't show up. There's no ID for this. As you can see here in the export, there's no ID for it. It's the next frame. So if I go to the tannery, I have this note here that this one, which means zeros before, if I just zeros before, zeros after. So I'm putting in 1 0 ID before, and then it actually showed this frame. And the timing is right, as you can see with the video comparisons that I posted in the thread. I could explain how I did this, but basically I used Excel. I have a script that I used to insert all the images, and I copied and pasted them and moved them around easily like that into order in which I saw it. And I put how many consecutive times a frame occurred. As you can see, this one occurred 3 times and the rest were 1. And then in other ones like the Armory Workshop, I have 0 and I have it repeated 30 times to represent the pause at the end. Then I came here, copied those 2 columns here, and just used an Excel formula to expand it. Then I put some replacements in Notepad++ and came out with the full sequence. And then I came here and I color coded it and broke it up into different pieces and labeled them. Used a formula, not handwritten it, used a formula to type it into code format, from which then I copied in here, and I have a total of 10 cycle variables. The stables really didn't have repeated sequences, but I still use this to split up the sequence and to describe different parts of it for the future. Yep, that's pretty much it.